It's time to rest in reverie. A dream doesn't distract from a sweet absurdity. Visions that appear nonsensical encourage the curious eye. Mine and a moment of reminiscent reverie. I must have been asleep, resting upon a park bench, somewhat fetal but in comfort, till I awoke and saw the sky, for it's white and without texture, like a blanket occluding the world. I sit myself up and observe a stark reality as a bewildered tear drops from my eye. It's all just white. A blank canvas transformed into a sphere. There's absolutely nothing here. Oh, hang on a minute. Hello? Is that a nose? Oh, is that a neb? Oh, a hound dog. Oh, Christ, that's not a dog. There's a wolf under the bench, white as bloody snow, just laying there. Maybe that stray tear landed on it. I'm getting off this bench just in case. Kneeling down and looking at you, there's this knowing in your face. Your blue eyes are almost human, and you lay there like you own the space. Your fur is dazzling, and almost blends into what's all around. Near as, damn it, a pair of floating eyes, but you do not make a sound. Why is that? You want to come here? The wolf seems to accept the invitation and comically crawls from under the bench, trots over to me and lowers its head as if waiting for a scratch behind the ears. Who's taught you that, I wonder? You hardly seem wild. Or maybe real. Come to think of it, that bench is oddly reminiscent of where I met Abigail. You know her, boy? She was an amazing woman. Smarter and more capable than I had any right to be around. You know, I was sat right there, contemplating the life I was leading at that point, and she asked if she could share the bench with me. I said, sure, plenty of room to overthink on here. I wouldn't have made that particular joke, but she looked as equally deep in thought as me, and something in her voice sounded, well, somewhat desperate. I asked her what was plaguing her in a somewhat jovial way. I hardly expected a response beyond none of your damn business. But, well, was I surprised? Suppose maybe there's almost a sense of freedom when talking to a stranger, isn't there? She spoke about an argument she'd had with her parents when visiting them over the holidays. I remember being enthralled in the way she spoke, and the unshakable positivity that emanated from every word, despite what she was describing. You know, boy, in that moment I saw something that I felt strongly that I was lacking. Positivity. Back then, I saw the world in a much darker shade, but over the years, that woman would change me for the better. Hell, even at her funeral, I requested we all wore white in her honour. I would have told you to take a hike before I met her. The wolf, throughout my ramblings, had sat as if it understood. It was nice to recount a memory, but there's no way that it could. In that moment, it suddenly shot off and ran at full pelt. I called to it, but it didn't return. Left me in the peace I had suddenly felt, watching as its shape slowly blended into the expanse that surrounded it. I could now worry, but why leave that tranquility of thought for just a happy, heartfelt moment? I can see her shining face more clearly than I have in a long, long time. She brought out the very best of me, and I promised myself I'd never let that go. To be a beacon as she was and fill the world with light. Why did I wake up here? On this old bench where I met you? Is it a happy place or poignant marker before? Oh God. It could be. Thankfully, in that moment, I heard the alleviating steps of the wolf coming back. Looking in its direction, I could only make out those blue eyes bounding towards me. With every blink of mine, however, Those eyes seemed to get higher and higher, the wolf's shape getting less and less clear, fur seemingly shorter and shorter, until it should have arrived at my feet and nothing. Then I hear a few pats on a bench behind me that distinctively could only be made by a human hand. Nervously, I turn to find Abigail sat where I once laid. I'm stunned to silence, and she calmly doesn't say a word, just beckons me to sit by her side. I oblige. I take my seat and feel a compulsion to lay my head on her shoulder and hold her hand. She's already holding mine. I'm going to let myself rest now. I've got everything I need right here, and nothing to prove to anyone. I think I understand now why I'm here and what it's for. I'll gift myself eternally. I'll let absurdity hold the door. What a curious and tender moment this fragile wight has granted me. I'm honoured. Thank you so much. It's time to rest in reverie.